जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
जय
यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन
यमुना तीरवनचारी
यमुना तीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी यमुना तीरवनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी
जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे
हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ श्री राधे जय राधा गोपीनाथ राधा गोपीनाथ श्री राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रा नित गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल नित गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर षड्श्री हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथ पुरी धाम की जय। मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। सामवेद भक्त विंद की जय। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। बीबीटी बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन यात्रा की जय। उपस्थित गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories, Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga and Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। ऑल टुगेदर
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। Hare Krishna and welcome to the advanced course Bhagavad Gita class. We are on chapter 5. Hare Krishna Kumkum Mataji. I think you are in the wrong class today, but still you can continue listening because this is the advanced course that I'm teaching. But that's fine. Bhavana Mataji, can you switch on your video for some time and then you can switch it off? So that everyone would know that who you are, because you are joining the first time today, this class. So we were discussing the Karma Sannyasa Yoga, which is chapter 5. And we have done first 5 verses. Actually, first 6 verses becomes the section 1 of the chapter 5, where Krishna talks about how Karma Yoga can be done with detachment. So, detachment, which kind of detachment? It is the real detachment. It is not false detachment. It is the Yukta Vairagya. It is not a Falagu Vairagya. And what is the definition of Falgu Vairagya, Varun Prabhu?
It's a, it's not exactly a Vairagya, it is a false Vairagya.
Yeah, why did it so? Why, what is Falgu?
Falgu is basically kind of like in a desert we have this we got a क्या पानी का प्रतिबिंब
Mirage.
illusion
It's a mirage. It's a
mirage.
kind of a mirage. It's a
Yeah.
imaginary river that we can see
Yeah.
when we are in the mirage in the desert, right? So we are always thinking that there is a water. Similarly, it is a Falgu Vairagya is like just wearing saffron clothes and under your heart which is not purified at all, and you are doing all the wrongdoings in the world and showing to the world that you are absolutely vairagya, have taken the vairagya, but however you have not taken the vairagya. Your other part of your life is absolutely different, and you are only for the show off you are doing this. So the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord says that work in devotional service is better than dry mental speculation. So that is actually the meaning of it. And first 5 verses are giving the nectar of the entire chapter. So the devotional service is easier than the latter because being transcendental in nature, it frees one from reaction. So the reaction that we get from the pious activities or in the mode of ignorance, that whatever that we do, but when we do karma sannyasa yoga, that time we are working with detachment, and that detachment is coming from the heart. So the 5th chapter is the practical application of Krishna consciousness, generally known as karma yoga. So the question of mental speculation is to how karma yoga can give liberation is answered in this chapter. So the work in Krishna consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. So such work is not different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Krishna consciousness is bhakti yoga basically, and jnana yoga is a path of leading it to bhakti yoga. To Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute. And the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So first 6 verses actually talks about the Nishkama Karma Yoga, which is equal to but easier than renouncing work. If somebody will say, that I will renounce all the work and I will just do my bhakti and I will not do anything else, but that is not possible. For a grahastha it is not possible, for a brahmachari it is not possible, even it is only possible for a sannyasi to a certain extent. So Arjun repeats the same question in the beginning of chapter that he began in chapter 3 as well, that he wants to know which of the 2 processes is more beneficial. He asks him that, tell me please, Sunishchitam, you tell me that what am I supposed to do, Krishna? He says that sannyasam karmanah Krishna punayogam cha samsasi yashreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Tell me, tanme bruhi sunishchitam. What actually you want me to do? Please tell me definitely that what you want me to do. And same question he is again repeating in this chapter in the beginning. And when he is talking about that, Krishna answers that question in the 5.2 and so on. And then we come to the closure of this section on the verse 5.6, where Krishna concludes this why Karma Yoga is better and why Jnana Yoga has to be discouraged. Now we will chant verse 5.6. Yeah, I will chant and you repeat. Arjuna Uvacha. Sorry, 5.6. I was on the wrong page because sometimes I use the browser. Sannyasasthu mahabaho dukhamaptu mayogataha yoga yukto mudir brahma nachirenadhigacchati.
Sannyasattu mahabaho dukkam aptum ayogata
योगतः
yoga yukto
योगयुक्तो
munir
मुनिर्ब्रह्मा
brahma
न
nachireti gacchati.
Once again, sannyaasastu mahabaho dukkha samasapupta yogataha yoga yukto mudir brahma nachirenadhigacchati.
संन्यासास्तु महाबाहो
Maho dukkam aptum
आप्तुम
ayogata
योगतः
yoga yukto
योगयुक्तो
munir brahma
ब्रह्मा
nachireti
नचिरेण
gacchati.
गच्छति.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve. What one can achieve? He achieves the Supreme without delay. Because then he is not confused. Because he is thoughtful and he is thinking before doing it. So merely renouncing all activities yet not engaging in devotional service of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the Supreme without delay. So if we scrutinize this verse in various sections, so sannyasatu mahabaho, O Arjun, you are a mahabaho. Dukkham aptum evogataha. When one does sannyasa without doing yoga, that means one renounces the action. Avogataha, then one gets dukkha. Why dukkha? Because inactivity is difficult. It is unsustainable. It is unnatural. Yoga yukta mudir brahma. On the other hand, if somebody is yoga yukta, such a muni is engaged in activity. What activity? Brahmana chirendri gacchati. Such a person attains Brahmana chirena. Brahman achirena. Not after long time. Chirena is long time. Na achirena means quickly. Adhigacchati will attain. He will attain it very easily, very quickly. So Krishna is again saying if one doesn't have a connection with the absolute truth, dukkham aptum avogataha, he will get dukkha. So when one is detached from matter, one is not allowed to do any activity, fearing that he will be bound, but he will not be satisfied. So it is difficult to be inactive, it is difficult to be without pleasure, and because one is avogataha, one is not able to connect to the absolute truth, one is not experiencing higher happiness. So one is neither here nor there. Beech mein atak gaya. So one is trying to come out of matter, but he is not getting spirit. So in that situation, one is lost. One is on kalesha. Dukkham aptum avogataha. Therefore, Krishna is saying that what one should do is yoga yukto. One will soon attain liberation. One will attain Brahma. And Brahman is generic word used to attain the absolute truth. Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he said that Jnana refers to Mayavadi, but those Mayavadi will not give ultimate conclusion. He further says that, the Mayavadi sannyasis engaged in the studies of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation cannot reach the transcendental service of the Lord. Somebody can come and say, I have by-hearted so many verses of Bhagavad Gita, but has he really understood that? Is he living Bhagavad Gita? Can he live by it? Just by hearting the verses and chant and reciting them like a parrot does not give you knowledge. The knowledge has to be internalized because their studies become very tedious. They sometimes become tired of Brahmin speculation. So people needs to understand that they take shelter of the Bhagavatam without proper understanding. If we look at Vedic history, Shankaracharya did not comment on Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Ramanujacharya did not comment on Srimad Bhagavatam. Madhvacharya has written Bhagavatam Tatparya Nirnaya and he wrote Mahabharat Tatparya Nirnaya. He just wrote the Tatparya, that is the summary study of that. And Bhagavatam is a profound philosophy which concludes in personalist theistic devotion. Shankaracharya did not mess with it. And since Ramanujacharya was responding to Shankaracharya, he also did not wrote on that. The biggest part that Shankaracharya played is in glorification of Bhagavad Gita. Gita Shastram Idam Punyam Yah Pateta Prayatah Paman Vishnostavana Vapnoti Bhayashoka Vivarjita. So he has done a whole lot of work on glorification of Bhagavad Gita because he never wanted Govinda, people, those who are coming in the mode of ignorance, they should understand that only, they are going into the right path. He wanted to also let people know that Bhagavad Gita is the ultimate truth. And that is why he did not write anything other than glorification of Bhagavad Gita. He said, Gita Gandhodakam Pitva. So, Bhagavad Gita is such a milk that is, the milk has been taken out by Krishna, and who is the benefiter of that? It is Arjun, and we all are. Because Arjun is representing all of us. So we all are becoming the beneficiaries of Bhagavad Gita because Krishna is milking the cow and we are drinking that milk. So that nectar that we are drinking, and it's all because of Srila Prabhupada that we have these books, and its summary, the purport, the translation, everything has been available to us. And if you look at the history, Shankaracharya appeared in 7th century. So after him, Ramanujacharya came in 10th or 11th century maybe. Madhvacharya came in 11th and 12th century. So after that, in medieval history, Bhakti spreaded. Bhakti was there long ago as well. But when Vedic culture was present in the world, but we are talking about recent history now. So when Bhakti started, the appeal of Mayavad started paling in comparison to Bhakti. In Mayavadi path, unless you renounce the world, you cannot begin your spiritual journey seriously. But it is very hard to renounce the world without knowing the real meaning of life, that your ultimate goal is to please Krishna. And whatever work that you are doing in the Karma Yoga, that Karma Yoga, you are doing it for feeding your family, working for your family, and the fruits of that you are offering it to Krishna. So then it becomes a complete package deal, that you are working for the family is becoming the devotional family, and then everything else gets second priority in that case. So you are completely absorbed in Krishna Bhakti by doing the Karma Yoga for your family and offering all the fruits to Krishna and doing Bhakti that way. It is necessary to have the knowledge. So Jnana Yoga has to be there. But as long as the person has understood that what his main purpose of doing this is to please Krishna by doing the Karma Yoga. And why it is called a Karma Yoga? Because yoga is again union with the Lord. And that is the reason why Srila Prabhupada has also given big purports for these verses so that people should be able to understand everything metaphorically, and they can get the real meaning of all the stuff that has been talked about in these verses of the first 6 verses of the chapter 5. Okay, any question? Your silence is very good, so I can go to the next verse. योग युक्तो विशुद्धात्मा विजितात्मा जितेन्द्रियः सर्वभूतात्म भूतात्मा कुर्वन्नपि न लिप्यते.
योग युक्तो विशुद्धात्मा जितात्मा जितेन्द्रिया सर्वभूतानां भूतानां कुर्वतपि न लिप्यते.
Can you read the translation, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. One who works in devotion, who is pure soul, and who control his mind and senses is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled.
Yeah. So, what is your understanding with this?
Basically, Prabhu, here in this chapter, as you mentioned, started. Here the focus is more about doing a duty in a Krishna consciousness rather than doing nothing. So here, what in this particular shlok, Krishna is saying that who works in devotion, who control his mind and senses, is basically is dear to everyone. Basically, you keep doing your duty and don't get attached. You control your mind, your senses, and everything. So that person is always is never get entangled into this cycle of birth and death, and it is something Krishna is trying to tell us here.
Wonderful. So yoga yukto, he's saying yoga yukto. It's also used in the previous verse. When one is yoga yukta, he is vishuddhatma, purified. And also he is vijitatma, self-controlled. And jitendriya, one who has conquered the senses. Who is the jitendriya? The one who has conquered the senses. So one who is pure and has controlled his mind and senses, sarva bhutatma, bhutatma, kurvam apina lipyate. Even if such person is working, he will not get bound. Because his concept is absolutely clear that he does not get involved or attached to the work that he is doing. Even the devotional service, people get attached. Some people in the temple that they are doing some service in the temple and they get attached to that service and they are not ready to give it to anybody else. So that becomes very hard for them, and it becomes hard for temple authorities also to take away the service from them, because they get so much attached to that service that they don't want to give it to anyone else. And forcibly we cannot take away the service from anyone, because we all are bound to serve Krishna in whatever way we are doing it. If by taking away the bhakti service, we are offending that devotee and he goes away from the bhakti, then whose responsibility is going to be like that? So the best way to get rid of that is to give him better service. To tell him that you do this, at the same time you also do this. And slowly get transition to that service. Because now you have done this very successfully for such a long time, and you should be able to teach people how to do this while you supervise this and you start doing this new one and you learn from the other devotee who was doing this before. So there are managerial way of managing this. So there is a story in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam of Priyabrat and Swayambhu Manu. when Brahmaji has to come and instruct Priyabrat to accept the will of Lord and the rule of the world and enter into Grihastha ashram. So if someone is not attached, even if he stays at home, stays in a place, still he will not be bound. Even if the person is a king. So when will that happen? Karvanna apina lipyate. When one is yoga yukto, vishuddhatma, vijitatma jitendriya. So one has to do this will be liberated. So he has to be sarva bhutatma bhutatma. It is like others atma become his atma. That doesn't mean impersonalism. Simply it means that there is a deep inner connection, making out almost it feels like oneness. Here compassion is explained. And when we go to the 6th chapter, we will talk in more detail about it. Because there Krishna ensures that Arjun will become free from bondage if he acts in this way. And such a person becomes dear to everyone because he doesn't have any selfish desire or selfish motivation. So he doesn't want anything from anyone. He simply wanted to serve. So there can be many definitions of material and spiritual. We can start from selfishness and selflessness. So when we meet someone selfish, what he can do for me, and a person who is selfless, what I can do for him. So what he can give me for sense enjoyment, that is material. Spiritual connection is pleasing him, talking respectfully, attending his lecture, associating with him spiritually. Or the connection is spiritual. In that sense, what happens is, we have a spiritual connection and there is selfless desire to help. So there is a term called devotee care everywhere, But actually the devotee care starts from the spirituality itself. But then when you are selfless and you are helping somebody, that is actually the devotee care. A devotee is a well-wisher of all living beings. A devotee is selfless for sake of others, means he is concerned about others. So, when we go to the 6th chapter, Krishna will also talk about the Ashtanga Yoga, etc. However, here we are only concentrating upon the Karma Yoga and the Jnana Yoga, where Jnana Yoga to the extent that you understand what Krishna is, what is your position, and how you are reaching out to Krishna by doing your bhakti in remaining in the Karma Yoga, remaining in your family life. Any question? Renuka?
No, Prabhuji. No, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Bhavana, any question? You need to unmute yourself. Varun Prabhu? Verse 8 and 9 are together, so we will chant them together now, okay? Neve kinchit karomiti yukto manneta tattvaved pashya shrunan vaspashidna asangachanna swapna swan pralapan visrujana gruhanam unmisan binibisam api indriyanindriyarthatheshu varatanta iti dharyan. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. Do you want to chant?
We can chant, Prabhu.
No, I have only chanted. I have only chanted.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. A person in the divine association, in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them. So he is not getting the transcendental vibration in his mind or in his heart. He is only doing it for the purpose of that, oh, this smells really very good. This happens, that happens, So he can see the touch, he can see the, smell. He can smell very well, but he does not get actually attached by heart here. So what we understand here is 7 to 16th, verse number 7 to 16 is by fixing mind on Atma, Karma Yogi remains free from bondage. So this is elaborated from verse 6 to onwards. 1 to 6 it was elaboration, and now we are in the section where 7 to 16. So here we are only fixing mind on Atma. So doing so, what happens? Karma Yogi remains free from bondage. How Karma Yoga is equal? As karma causes bondage and renunciation leads to liberation. So here Krishna tells that if one is not fixing mind on sense object, instead he fixes his mind on Atma, the soul, then the Karma Yogi will remain free from bondage. So then Krishna is saying by fixing mind on super soul, Paramatma, in a Karma Yogi will attain liberation. So here there are two phases. One is not getting bound further and second is getting liberated. For example, when we are sick, one part is to remove the infection from the body and the other part is to gain the strength in the body. So remove what? We remove the virus, we remove the germs, remove the bad things in the body, mucus, this, that, all those things are removed. And the other thing is we are gaining the strength by eating fruits, having milk, etc., juices, all those things, depending on the kind of sickness that you have. So, why we do so? Maybe sometimes we have to, put a person in a separate room altogether, because his health becomes a priority. His recovery in two parts, which is to stopping the virus and bringing back his strength. There are two parts to it, and both are getting, attacked one after the other, or maybe together. So Atma Jnana will help us not get bound further, and Paramatma Jnana will lead to liberation. So these two parts, two separate parts, Atma Jnana and Paramatma Jnana, these two are separate, but Krishna is combining them and telling that the Karma Yoga allowing us to free from the bondage by fixing mind on Atma, and Karma Yogis are free from bondage. So in 5.7 we discussed Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma Karmam Apina Lipyati. And 5.8 and 5.9 are clubbed together by Srila Prabhupada in order to have the connectivity in place. And that connectivity actually allows us to understand that, Yukta Manyeta Tattvavit. Tattvavit, the person who is knower of the truth. Manyeta, such a person thinks that I am not the doer of things. What things? Paschana Sravana Prasada Jigrana. These are actions of various senses. First are sense, which takes things inward, knowledge acquiring senses, Paschana, seeing, Shravan, hearing, Sparshana, touching, and jigrahana, smelling, asanam, eating. So these are the ways by which we take things inside the body. And gachana, going here and there. And swapna is dreaming. Shvasana, breathing. Pralapana is talking. And visarjana, giving up. Grahanam, accepting. So these are the various things by which we take things inside the body and send things outside the body. Unvisan, opening. Nimishan is closing. So there are various activities that body is doing, and Krishna is talking about all of them. And the beauty of Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita as it is that, he clubs the verses together so that they can be understood in the real context. So indriyarthin indriyartheshu vartanta iti dharvana. The Tattvavid person knows that simply the senses are coming in contact with sense object. Nothing more is happening. So Krishna is telling that a wise person understands that when so many things are happening in the body, I am not the doer of those things. For example, we think I am speaking, which is true, but it is not the complete picture. At scientific level, understanding, in body there are different kinds of activities like consciously doing things and unconsciously doing things, Like I'm talking to all of you and giving a class. At the same time, if there is an insect comes on my hand, immediately my hand will go, because this is how the body has been created by Krishna. Right? I don't have to be told by somebody, hey, there is an insect coming, why don't you go and remove him from there? He's going to bite you. It is not required, because this is how my senses are perfectly made, so that I am aware that what is happening in my body. So any external body touching me, immediately the brain waves will go, my mind will tell something is going on over here, so go and attack it. So this is involuntary. The body doesn't work that somebody has to tell you. Do we have to be told that please breathe in, breathe out? No, it automatically is happening, right? So we don't have to remind it consciously that I have to breathe, I have to inhale, I have to exhale. Some people, they have a very deadly diseases. So for them, there is an artificial system by which they can go off to sleep. So that is called artificial repository system. If the artificial system fails, they will die in sleep only. So similarly, chewing food, as soon as food is taken, there are so many processes for digesting food. Similar breathing of air. If we have to conscious of so many things, there would be a big burden on our brain. We think that these things are happening automatically, but automatic means we don't know who is in control and how things are happening. Automatic doesn't mean absence of control. Automatic means absence of awareness of control. So who is controlling it? The super soul who is controlling it. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti in 9.10. So many things are happening. And because of him, because he is the supervisor and he is the Adhyaksha. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti. I am the supervisor, I am the permitter, both. He is doing both the jobs. But we don't even realize that is happening. So in our body, which are necessary to be happening, but it happens without our consciousness, with respect to these things. We can say that we are not the doer. Science can tell how many things in the body for which we are not doers. Similarly, wound happens, we put ointment and medicines, but just by putting medicine would be of no use if there is no healing process in terms of, say, the white blood corpusculars are not there. They are not present in the body. Then what we'll have to do? We have to take the blood infusion. Then clotting will not take place without WBC. So some doctors has to do some treatment on you so that this process will happen. So sometimes the external help is required. But for that, Krishna only has given that power to the doctors that they can do it. They should not think, oh, because of us you have been saved. Yes, you are. You are the instrument of doing so. Like Krishna tells Arjun that I have already killed everyone. See in my mouth. That everyone has already been killed in the battle of Kurukshetra. I am making you only a nimitta matra. Sabyasachi, I am just making you a nimitta matra. You are not going to kill them. They are already been killed. I am just glorifying you because you are a good friend and devotee of me. So our living in the body itself is temporary, where sometimes we are able to do something and sometimes we are not a doer. There is system in place by which there is illusion that we are doer. When system changes, its way of functioning changes, then we can do the things. These are the scientific level at we can understand. At philosophical level, we can understand that I am not this body, I am a spirit soul. And soul don't have to do much with the body. Like a soul in human body, then goes to dog's body, he cannot do much but just bark. कुत्ता सिर्फ भौंकता रहेगा और क्या करेगा? So he is bound or he is bounded with the type of body he goes in. That is called Sharira Bandhana. So soul starts expressing its desire as per the faculty and the facility in which it is bound in. So he is present in a body of a cow, then he will only give milk up to a certain number of years. After that, cow will stop giving the milk. So body is a mechanism. According to that mechanism, people will work. When we understand this, we understand that we are not the doer. Indriyan indriyatheshu vartanta iti dharayan. Who is the karta? If the soul is not the doer, whose reaction is he getting? Whom are the scriptures meant for? The soul is not the karta, means the soul is not the swatantra karta. The soul, it's getting its reaction, and scriptures are saying that the soul is responsible. Scripture says that you should do this and you should not do this. So point is not that absolutely soul is not doer. Point is the soul is not swatantra karta or is not independent doer. So soul works in the coordination with other elements. So soul is a dependent doer. So suppose if a tree is cut, then who is the karta? X is the instrument. That is cause. And woodcutter is the initiating cause. So both causes are important for cutting the wood. For actions in the world, both causes are important. For material cause, the Prakriti is the instrumental cause, Jiva is the initiating cause. Soul in the dog body, human body, horse's body, soul is initiating cause. It wants to communicate something, but in these bodies, the instrumental cause is different. All these body, voice, box is different. Similarly, cutting wood, someone can use ordinary X, someone can use electric X. But the karta is same. Like if a criminal has been put into jail, the police, the instrumental cause, the judge, the sanctioning cause, the criminal, the initiating cause. So in act of jailing criminal, all three are involved. The criminal, the police and the judge. So if a soul suffers, the material nature, that is the instrumental cause. For example, disease. Super soul, the sanctioning cause. For example, Super Soul sanctions Upadrishta Anumanta. He is the Upadrashta and Anumanta. He is the supervisor and also permitter. The soul is initiating karma. For example, we did certain karma for which we have to get reactions. So we get reaction according to time, place and circumstances. And according to our best for our information. So in this way, we understand that who is Karta? The Karta is all three. Prakriti, soul and super soul. So all three are involved in this. The sense object is perceived input, comes from sense object, then soul desires with sense object, but that desire is perceived by super soul in the heart. That is what is super soul's sanctions. So at that time, material nature executes and that person engages in sense gratification. This is how we engage in activities. So, who all are doers here? Soul is doer in the sense of desirer, initiator. Super soul is sanctioner and material nature is the executor to all three doers. So what is the point of Gita verse in here? Naiva kinchit karomiti. So what it means is Indriyam indriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayan. Simply the senses are coming in contact with the sense objects. So what does it mean? There are some inevitable need of the body which have to be fulfilled, and those are fulfilled by beyond that there is no further requirement to try to engage in sense gratification. But people sometimes overdo it because the soul is not motivated by material desire. Soul is not motivated for material desire. Then there is not further stimulation to do sensual activities, and that is why the person stays protected so person doesn't get bound. So in this case, what will happen for the detached soul? So when we say that I am detached, I am not, getting attached to what I am doing it. So actually there is no desire for sense gratification. Indriya paratheshu. Material nature means the senses body need food. So material nature in which the body is like a fuel. When food goes inside the body, will start working. And if there is no food in the stomach, what will happen? You will not be able to do the activities because based on the food, and who helps in digesting the food? The fire in the stomach. And that fire comes from whom? That is Agni. And Agni is coming from Krishna. So there is Agni Dev involved in that. And Agni Dev is the demigod. And it is the direct sensual representative of Krishna in the material world. अग्नि को हम जलते हुए देख सकते हैं, ज्वालाएं देख सकते हैं, right? So we can see the flame, we can see that some firewood is there, and we can see that it is lighting in front of you. Similarly, when there is a fire in the stomach, that means you are hungry. So that fire helps you in digesting the food. So desire is eat to live or eat to enjoy. What is more important? Eat to live. But are we all able to do that? No. If like gulab jamun, instead of 1 or 2, we eat 4, 5. Then what happens? You all know that what happens after that. It's because eating more food will always cause issues. So there is no enjoying mentality. There are, when they eat to enjoy them, enjoying mentality is there, that can implicate one in karmic bondage. And that karmic bondage can be having a very, bringing a lot of, one can become very thick as far as this is concerned, the appearance is concerned. Where is Renuka? She dropped out. Let's do verse number 10. ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्माणि संगम त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यते स पापेन पद्मपत्रमिवाम्भसा. Varun Prabhu.
I was speaking on mute. Brahmani adhya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti ya lipyate na sapapena padma patram ivam bhasha.
The translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by a sinful action, as a lotus leaf is untouched by water. Right? So lotus flower, it is always on the surface of the water, but you can see the water drops are there on the leaf, but it does not wet the flower, or the petals are not wet because of that. There is a beauty. Similarly, so that analogy over here is that we work for Krishna, not for our enjoyment, for his enjoyment. So whenever we are doing performing any activity, we are performing for Krishna, not for our own sensual enjoyment. So when the soul offers the karma, to whom? Brahmani adharva karmani. Adhaya means to offer, resign, to hand over. So when one does one's karma, he thinks that this is for the absolute truth. So when, this coming to this level is not that easy. Reading Bhagavad Gita and then practicing it, really, it requires a whole lot of efforts to do. However, we can only try. And that's where we are trying to do it as our sadhana goes, and we should be able to do it. So when the soul offers the karma, to whom? Brahmani adhaya karmani. So that time we are able to offer the fruits to Krishna. And sangam tyaktva karotiya, when one gives up attachment and acts. Such a person lipyate na sa papena. Such a person doesn't become bound by karma. Why? Because such a person is padma patram ivambhasa. Ambhasa means is water. Padma patra is lotus. So Brahmani adhaya karmani, when we offer the work to the absolute truth, devotee will understand Brahman as Bhagavan. So the devotee will offer all his work to Krishna and does all sensory activities for Shri Krishna's pleasure. The Karma Yogi may not know at this stage that absolute truth is Bhagavan. So Karma Yogi will understand that material nature is acting as Brahman, and Brahman can also be used to refer to material nature. In various other chapters, in the 14th chapter, it is very widely referred. From verse 3 and 4 also it has been raised very very nicely. And Krishna tells Brahman, refers to material nature. He says that sarva yonissu kaunteya aham bija pradapitaha. Sarva yonissu kaunteya. For all the yonis, I am the seed giving father. Aham bija pradapitaha. So where he says that Brahma Yonisu Kaunteya, all living beings get their material form within the womb of material nature. Krishna gives that seed. Here Brahma is referred to as the material nature. So when a person doesn't know about absolute truth, he thinks that material nature is acting in this way. So when one thinks this way, one doesn't get oneself emotionally involved in the action of material nature. Then the person is not bound. For example, given is in Padmapatram Ivam Bhasha, the like water doesn't stay on the lotus leaf. That example I already gave. So devotee who is working in material world can similarly stay detached from Padam Patra Ivam Bhasha. If he devotee works in this way, Brahmani Adhaya Karmani. So Srila Prabhupada in his purport, he writes that the Lord also says in Bhagavad Gita 3.30, Mai Saravani Karmani Sannyasa Eva Kardena. So resign all work unto me, Krishna. Yes. Give your work to me. And Srila Prabhupada's purport, he also covers the material world is just some total manifestation of the three modes of material nature. So technically called the Pradhana. The Vedic hymns, Sarvam He Etad Brahma, that is in the Mundaka Upanishad. And many other verses which are talking about Brahma, Nama, Rupam, Anam, Sajayati and all that. So and in 14.3, he says that, Mama Yoni Mahat Brahma indicate that everything in the material world is manifestations of Brahman, which means including material world is a manifestation of Brahman. This way, Krishna is addressing question of Arjuna, how a person who is working in material world stays free from bondage. It's already 8:38. I think we'll stop here. Let's do a Vaishnava Pranam and then we can. So unmute yourself, please, all of you. We'll chant the Vaishnava Pranam. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Hare